holding it down with the lovely Aaliyah. What's going on, Aaliyah?
What's up? How you doing? I'm
It's
good.
been a minute.
It's been a while. Sure has been a while.
And he was working with R. Kelly, and they were making so many records together. You know, they made all of those records together. They both fucked Aaliyah. They shared so much in common.
The world awoke to a shockwave of headlines that no one could have predicted. Jay-Z, one of the most recognizable figures in modern music and business, had reportedly fled the country. Not for a concert, not for a business deal, but under circumstances that suggest something far more troubling. His departure, shrouded in secrecy, has ignited a firestorm of speculation, tying his name to the explosive revelations emerging from Sean Diddy Combs' ongoing federal trial. The timing couldn't be more suspicious, and the details surrounding his escape are as elusive as they are unsettling.
Yeah, a number of jurors have been turned away. One woman, because she had seen that hotel surveillance video, she saw a still image of it where Combs is on camera kicking and dragging his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Now, the jurors said that she referred to it as damning evidence, and after a back and forth with the judge, he decided to excuse her for cause because she had formed an opinion on it.
Sources close to aviation insiders report that a private jet left a small, discreet airfield in New Jersey in the early hours of the morning. Its passenger manifest conspicuously empty aside from one name, Sean Corey Carter. The destination, according to unconfirmed reports, appears to be a remote European estate rumored to belong to a longtime business associate. The suddenness of this departure, coupled with its clandestine nature, has led to rampant speculation that Jay-Z had been tipped off about an impending arrest or subpoena linked to the revelations pouring out of Diddy's trial. The whispers of legal entanglements aren't new, but this move has added gasoline to an already raging inferno. What makes this story even more chilling is how Jay-Z's name came to be caught in the crossfire of Diddy's legal saga. Over the past few weeks, the trial has pulled back the curtain on a shadowy network of power and influence that allegedly spanned decades. Witnesses have described lavish gatherings organized by Diddy, events that blurred the lines between opulence and something far more sinister. These gatherings, often held in private estates and five-star hotels, were described as carefully orchestrated spectacles with a strict guest list of high-profile attendees. It was here, according to testimonies, that Jay-Z's presence was allegedly noted not as a passive guest, but as someone deeply intertwined in the planning and execution. While no formal charges or accusations have been levied against him, the details emerging from the trial are enough to spark an avalanche of suspicion.
Because we now know who all the prosecutors will be on Diddy's trial. They're all women. They have assembled a team of female prosecutors, and that is definitely not.
What's particularly damning is the testimony of a former employee of Diddy's who reportedly described a tightly controlled operation where attendees were allegedly screened, sworn to secrecy, and forbidden from bringing recording devices. This employee, whose identity remains protected, claimed that Jay-Z's influence extended beyond the music industry into these covert operations. The witness reportedly stated that Jay-Z was seen engaging in high-level discussions with Diddy during these events, conversations that some believe may have involved efforts to suppress or manipulate emerging scandals. These claims, while unverified, have already set social media ablaze, with many speculating about how deep Jay-Z's involvement really goes.
Best of both worlds. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about this shit.
Nobody talks about that project.
That swept that smooth under the rug.
Why?
Adding layers to the intrigue is Jay-Z's well-documented past, which is now being scrutinized in an entirely new light. In interviews over the years, he's openly admitted to his early days hustling in the streets of Brooklyn, describing it as a necessary evil to escape the cycle of poverty. But the skills he once attributed to surviving those streets, strategy, discretion, and knowing when to cut ties, are now being reframed in the context of these allegations. Critics are questioning whether those lessons ever truly left him, or if they've simply evolved into something far more calculated. Was his meteoric rise to global success fueled by more than just talent and hard work? The juxtaposition of his public image as a reformed mogul and these alleged under-the-radar dealings is almost too stark to ignore.
Was centerpiece of a lot of what happened during direct testimony were freak-offs. And what the prosecution tried to show was that he forced and or coerced her into doing these freak-offs. And we've talked about this earlier this week, that at least my opinion is that in a lot of these, the prosecution just didn't close the loop. It was something The
timing of his departure is particularly damning when viewed alongside Diddy's trial calendar. Just a day before Jay-Z left the country, a bombshell was dropped in court. A witness claimed to have seen video footage from one of Diddy's infamous parties, footage that allegedly included a major celebrity engaging in highly questionable behavior. While the identity of this celebrity was redacted during the courtroom proceedings, speculation online has been rampant that it could be Jay-Z. The rumor mill kicked into overdrive, with conspiracy theorists pointing to his departure as proof that he's trying to stay one step ahead of the fallout. Meanwhile, legal experts are beginning to weigh in, suggesting that if Jay-Z is indeed implicated in the allegations emerging from Diddy's trial, this could open an entirely new chapter in the investigation. Some believe that prosecutors could use his absence as leverage to paint him as complicit or even as an accessory to Diddy's alleged crimes. Others argue that his sudden departure might force authorities to fast-track their efforts to determine his role, if any, in the unfolding scandal. The pressure is mounting, and every move he makes or doesn't make is being dissected with forensic precision.
So Diddy, after the Cassie lawsuit, gets hit with a bunch of lawsuits, and then ultimately the raids, and then...
The public, of course, is in a frenzy. Social media platforms are inundated with amateur sleuths tracking private jet flight paths, analyzing Beyonce's cryptic Instagram posts, and combing through old interviews for any hint of what might have been brewing behind the scenes. Theories range from the plausible to the absurd, with some suggesting that Jay-Z had been planning this escape for months, while others claim he was blindsided by a sudden leak of information. What's undeniable is the level of fascination this story has generated, with every new development only adding to the sense of urgency and intrigue. Yet, amidst all this chaos, Jay-Z himself has remained conspicuously silent. For a man who has built his brand on controlling the narrative, this silence is deafening. There are no carefully crafted statements, no surprise music drops, no appearances that could redirect the conversation. His absence, both physical and vocal, has left a vacuum that's being filled with speculation, conspiracy theories, and a growing sense that this is only the beginning.
Let's talk about the filth that's starting to come out in the early days of the Diddy trial. This, of course, is P. Diddy. Surprise, surprise, he's a creep. Surprise, surprise, he's done horrible things.
This story isn't just about one man's alleged missteps. It's about the broader implications for an industry that has long operated in the shadows. If the allegations tying Jay-Z to Diddy's network prove true, this could be the unraveling of a power structure that has reigned unchallenged for decades. The stakes couldn't be higher, and the questions couldn't be higher, and the questions couldn't be more urgent. Where is Jay-Z now? What does he know, and how far will he go to protect it? As the world watches, one thing is clear. This is a story that's far from over. And just when you thought it couldn't get any darker, the focus shifted to Beyonce. While Jay-Z's sudden disappearance had the world speculating, Beyonce's silence has been deafening. And for some, suspicious. Long hailed as an icon of empowerment and independence, she now finds herself cast in an entirely different light. Rumors are swirling, questioning not just her role in Jay-Z's hasty exit, but whether she has been deeply enmeshed in the very web of influence and secrecy that's now unraveling. It's a collision of two images: Beyonce, the global superstar, and Beyonce, the potential accomplice in a scheme that no one dared to imagine.
So why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Insiders are reportedly pointing to her as the mastermind behind the logistics of Jay-Z's escape. From securing the jet to coordinating with high-level legal teams, there are whispers that Beyonce's influence was the glue holding the operation together. These claims, while unverified, have gained traction online, with fans dissecting her recent behavior. A cryptic social media post just days before Jay-Z's disappearance featured a single word: evolve. Was it a subtle nod to their future plans, or was it a misdirect, an attempt to shift attention away from the chaos about to erupt? But the questions don't stop there. Beyonce's connections to Sean Diddy Combs have also come under scrutiny, with some suggesting that her relationship with him, once thought to be purely professional, might have deeper implications. Courtroom whispers suggest that Diddy's infamous gatherings include more than just Jay-Z, with some attendees hinting at Beyonce's occasional presence. While no direct accusations have surfaced, the implication is clear. She wasn't just an observer. Her name has surfaced alongside allegations of behind-the-scenes discussions about damage control and legal maneuvering to protect their circle from the fallout of years-old scandals now bubbling to the surface.
I want you to think about this. Allegedly, Sean Carter is responsible for enacting Hype Williams to put Aaliyah on a faulty plane to move her out the way as punishment for rejecting him, and so he could level up Beyonce, who was struggling.
Yet the most troubling aspect of this growing narrative is the connection to a long-standing conspiracy theory that has haunted the entertainment world for years. The tragic losses of Aaliyah, Lisa Lopez, and even Michael Jackson have been dragged back into the spotlight, with some accusing this elite circle, Diddy, Jay-Z, and Beyonce, of playing a role in the events that led to their untimely ends. It's the kind of theory that would have been dismissed outright as internet drivel, but in the wake of Diddy's trial and Jay-Z's disappearance, the coincidences are hard to ignore. All three artists, icons in their own right, passed on the 25th of different months, and now conspiracy theorists are combing through old interviews, lyrics, and appearances trying to uncover hidden messages that could link these three names to the power couple. The theories surrounding Aaliyah's tragic passing have grown even more sinister in light of recent allegations. In particular, online sleuths are zeroing in on the timing of her final days, alleging that her demise wasn't the result of mere misfortune, but a calculated act orchestrated by those in power. Aaliyah's meteoric rise in the music industry had made her a formidable presence, someone whose talent and charisma threatened to overshadow even the biggest names at the time. And therein lies the theory. Her growing influence may have made her a target. Some allege that figures within the entertainment world, desperate to retain control, may have orchestrated events that led to her untimely end. The claims are chilling, implicating powerful individuals who allegedly stood to gain from eliminating competition.
She was unconscious. She didn't choose to get on that plane. There were phone calls made. There are witnesses who signed NDAs.
Adding weight to the speculation are resurfaced interviews with Aaliyah's closest confidants, including her former boyfriend Damon Dash, who has long hinted at the darker forces surrounding her career. Dash has previously stated that Aaliyah was increasingly wary of certain individuals in the industry, describing her as a sacrificial lamb for a system that preyed on young talent. While he has never directly accused Jay-Z, Diddy, or anyone else, his vague comments about her being in the wrong environment at the wrong time have reignited conversations about who might have been pulling the strings. Some conspiracy theorists even point to Aaliyah's decision to distance herself from earlier collaborators as a sign that she was aware of the dangers she faced but didn't have the means to escape them. One particularly unsettling claim centers on the circumstances of the plane crash itself. Newly uncovered details suggest that the flight was hastily arranged, with reports indicating that Aaliyah was reluctant to board the overloaded aircraft in the first place. Witnesses have claimed that she expressed concerns about the plane's capacity, but was allegedly pressured by her team to go through with it. Theories suggest that this pressure wasn't just about logistical convenience, but part of a larger, more sinister plan. Whether these claims hold any truth remains to be seen, but the eerie coincidences, combined with the timing and her abrupt departure from certain industry circles, have turned Aaliyah's tragic story into a cornerstone of the conspiracy.
Why the fuck would you need to sign? A nigga don't ask about a plane crash if it was accidental.
Do you feel like...
Riddle me that. Riddle me that. Work with me here in this moment.
And I'm going to ask you.
A plane crash should be accidental.
One particularly viral theory has focused on J. Cole's song She Knows, which conspiracy theorists claim contains veiled references to Sean Carter and Beyonce Knowles. The title itself has been dissected endlessly, with some arguing that She Knows could be a play on their names. Others point to its lyrics, which mention stars burning out, as a metaphor for those who've fallen victim to the industry's darker forces. It's a stretch, sure, but the sheer volume of speculation has made it impossible to ignore, especially when tied to a trial as explosive as Diddy's. Then there are Beyonce's own lyrics, which have suddenly taken on a more sinister tone in the eyes of her critics. Her song Haunted has been dissected line by line, with fans and skeptics alike pointing to phrases that seem eerily prescient. It's what you do. It's what you see. I know if I'm haunting you, you must be haunting me. Could this be a subtle admission, a reference to the secret she's been carrying for years? Or is it just another example of fans reading too much into an artist's work? Either way, the narrative is spiraling and Beyonce's silence is doing her no favors.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he sexually assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
Adding another layer to this tangled web is the resurfacing of claims from Jaguar Wright, a former collaborator turned outspoken critic of the music industry. Wright has long alleged that Jay-Z and Beyonce are part of a secretive inner circle that wields unchecked power over the entertainment world. In a recent interview, she doubled down on these claims, suggesting that the couple's influence extends far beyond music and into realms most people can't comprehend. She even hinted at knowing individuals who are willing to testify against them, describing the couple as a nasty little duo who have benefited from the exploitation of others. What's particularly disturbing about Wright's claims is how closely they align with the emerging narrative from Diddy's trial. The allegations of orchestrated events, manipulative tactics, and a culture of silence all point to a pattern of behavior that isn't limited to one individual. It's systemic, pervasive, and deeply entrenched. And while Wright's accusations remain unproven, they've added fuel to a fire that's already burning out of control.
I want to start with just the statement from Jay-Z, which is so forceful in its denial. I just read a teeny part of it, it's long, where he says that they should file a criminal complaint. Is that even possible at this point?
The fallout from these revelations is already being felt across the industry. Several artists who've worked with Jay-Z and Beyonce in the past are reportedly reevaluating their associations. Unnamed sources claim that at least 2 high-profile collaborations have been quietly shelved, with the artists involved unwilling to risk the potential backlash. Even Beyonce's charitable endeavors are under scrutiny, with critics questioning whether her philanthropy is a genuine effort to give back or a calculated move to deflect attention from her husband's controversies. And yet, for all the speculation, one question looms larger than the rest. Why hasn't Beyonce said anything? Her silence, once seen as a mark of grace and dignity, now feels like complicity. Is she protecting her family, or is she protecting herself? The public wants answers, and the longer she stays quiet, the louder the questions become. But perhaps the most unsettling possibility is that Beyonce herself is a victim in all of this. Some insiders suggest that her involvement in these alleged schemes wasn't entirely voluntary, that she's been trapped in a power dynamic with Jay-Z that has left her with little choice but to play along. It's a theory that paints her not as an accomplice, but as someone who's been manipulated and controlled, a stark contrast to the image of strength and autonomy she's cultivated over the years. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. The facade is cracking. The carefully curated image of Jay-Z and Beyonce as the ultimate power couple is beginning to crumble, revealing a darker, more complex reality beneath. And as more details emerge, the question isn't just how far they've gone to protect their empire, it's how much longer they can keep it from collapsing entirely.
Now, he, of course, is more than annoyed, would be an understatement. He has a family and he has a lot to protect, including his brand. But to the extent that he's saying, hey, come after me criminally, that could be likely. Why do I say that? Because in New York, and what's alleged in this complaint is forcible compulsion. What that means in English is that it's saying that he held her down, raped her.
So where does this leave us? Is Beyonce a calculated mastermind, a victim of circumstance, or something in between? And what about Jay-Z? Will he resurface to face the growing storm, or will he remain in the shadows, leaving Beyonce to weather the fallout alone? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and stay tuned, because this story is far from over. See you in the next one.